Hey, bro.
And welcome to Match Ready, a show where myself, Maddox the Lander, and my partner, ATN Skitch, are going to recap you every week on what the Durham Lords athletic teams got up to and how they did.
Absolutely. This week we were in for an actual pretty good amount of runs. We had men's rugby. They managed to qualify first seed for that playoff bracket. And women's rugby, they made their playoff bracket, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Big win.
And coming up here first, we are going to have women's rugby. They played an outstanding set of 3 matches with their OCAA final tournament that showed up. We had the first game as they went to the quarterfinal. They took on the Fleming Phoenix. That one, a 22-0 win. Second one, they took on the Seneca Sting in the semifinal. This one put up one of their highest scores of the year, 52-0 on that regard. And they advanced gold medal match as they took on the Humber Hawks. Those guys, these two have been going at it the entire season, and they capped it off huge. Humber was the third seed in this one, and they ended up 34-0. We're going to take a look quick here at this package. We got a few things here. Durham looked dominant throughout the year, and they didn't give up more than 19 points the entire season. That was 19 points across 17 total games, including the playoff. This season was more than historic for Durham. They had 2 100-plus point scorers this year with Amber Edgerton and Cameron Wood. Of course, those two comboed together a lot, considering Edgerton was the one to score, was the league leader in tries, and Cameron Wood broke the single most points in a game. Those two collectively broke the most points in a single game record not once but twice. And the Lords destroyed the previous single season record points for an entire team, which was held by the 2022 Lords, and outscored that by a few hundred, considering they had 702 points on the year. That was prior to the playoffs. And presumably they're going to hold that one for the foreseeable future. The sky's the limit for this Durham squad. With this win, they extended their streak to back-to-back championships 4 times in a row. And for those who want the easier way around, that absolutely, the 4th time in a row. And we'll be waiting eagerly next year to see just how high this Lords team can fly.
They crushed it, man. This rugby core has been dominating the league for years, but this is the most dominant they've been in a long time. And they set so many records individually and as a team. It was just so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. This team was nuclear. And their men's team wasn't too far off either. They had a pretty outstanding season themselves, and they rounded that out undefeated. They walked out, and they took on the Conestoga Condors just a little bit ago. That was back on the 24th, and that game was a nail-biter. Durham was down 12-0 at one point, rallied themselves back, a 19-12 win. And we're going to take a quick look at that one right here. As I mentioned, they were down 12-0 at one point. And that rally was insane. They came back. They needed a final score in the last minute or two, and they had it. And it was lights out for the Condors at that point. Durham was the second best defensive team across the entire year. 106 points allowed collectively. Remember, these are 80-minute games. They're not slow. They're not short games. And to only allow 106 points collectively is insane. And that's that last try there. That's Devon Henry dives it in. And that one was the nail in the coffin for the Condors. And that extended Durham to 6-0. They had 250 points across the 6 games. And if you're waiting for more rugby, it's right around the corner. Durham walked away with that undefeated record, like I said. So they had a bye in the first round of the playoffs, and they'll be back November 8th with OCAA Final Four action in sight, and the gold medal is within reach. We're just waiting to find out who they'll play on the 8th.
I can't wait to watch the end of that men's rugby season. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. we're just waiting to get on the results from that one, but we should be guns blazing. We've beat everyone so far. Might as well make it another.
Absolutely. Keep winning.
Absolutely. And we're going to take another quick look now. Women's volleyball, they had an outstanding week. On the 25th, they went all the way out to Barrie to take on the Georgian Grizzlies there, and they won 3-2. They decisively walked away with that one, and we're going to take a quick look at that in just a little bit. And the day after that, they went to Georgia. They went all the way out. They took on the Canadore Panthers, apologies. And they also had a good run. They went undefeated against Canadore 3 sets in a row. And we're going to take a quick look at that one right about now. And Durham started off in a barn burner, like I said, 3-2, that score line. And every set Durham won by wide margins. And every set that they lost was a nail-biter that went to extra points. They didn't give up anything for free with really any kind. They didn't give up anything for free, like I said. And if a few things changed, Durham might have walked away with this one 3-0. And out in Canadore, it was green and gold all day long. Durham came out guns blazing, going 25-13, 25-8, and then 25-13 once again to round it out. And like I said, this game wasn't particularly close the whole way around. Durham undefeated so far in the season, looking to keep it going. And Elizabeth McFarland, number 17 for the Lords, was an absolute monster in those games. And you'll see that throughout the game throughout the clips that you'll see just about here. And lucky enough, they don't have too much longer to go. And they had the week off. They got to relax. And they'll be back on home court as they out on Seneca Sting's home court as they'll take them on in just a little bit.
Can't wait to see them keep going as well. Moving on to men's volleyball. The men's volleyball played 2 games this week, and they were both away. They played against Georgian College on Saturday, and they won 3-2, and then they played Canadore College on Sunday, and they lost that one 3-0. Moving on to some clips here. The game they played against Georgian was very close, battling it out until the end, where they did come out on top, winning 3-2. There were a lot of close calls in that game. If a couple calls went a different way, the Durham could have walked away winning 3-0. The sets were all close, but they controlled the controllables and got the points where they could, and they came out with the win. They went through 5 sets, going back and forth, and going into the final set, it went all the way into extra points, and it was something out of a movie. Durham took the final set by just 2 points. It was a spectacular match. And in the next game, they played against Canadore, and that was a tough loss. Durham played really well. They fought pretty hard. There were a few key plays, and some great points in there, little bursts of momentum, but they just couldn't close out the sets. Each set was very close. None of the sets were lost by more than 5 points. And in the loss, Felix had some pretty good plays, a lot of good solo plays too. He was looking really strong in that match. Now, coming up for men's volleyball, they have 1 game on the 5th against Seneca College. We're going to change gears here and go into basketball now. For women's basketball, the women's basketball team played against the Sting on Tuesday. They got off to a rocky start for their season. That was their first match. They dropped it 62-36. We'll take a look at some clips. And in that game, despite the lopsided score, Sarah LaPlante scored 13 points, draining 3 shots from 3-point territory. And Kathy Orlana scored 11 points on an efficient shooting night, going 5 for 8. Telia Campbell also got active despite the heavy defensive pressure Seneca applied, recording 5 steals, 5 points, and 4 assists, just absolutely stuffing the stats sheet. There were bursts of scoring throughout the night, but it just wasn't enough for the win. The women's team, they don't have the largest roster. Their bench is quite empty, so these women are playing a lot of minutes. Looking to earn their first win of the season later this week, the women's team is going to head to Algonquin on Friday to face the Wolves. The men's basketball team, however, had a great week. Over the past week, they played 2 games. They hosted Seneca on Tuesday, same as the women's team. They charged back to take a narrow win, 72-69 there. And then in the second game of their week, they played on Friday, hosting the Fleming Phoenix, and they eked out an 82-80 win. It was a spectacular game both nights. And the first game against the Sting really was a back and forth affair in the first half. Neither team led by more than 5 points, and the Lords went to the break only down by 1. The Sting outscored Durham 15-5 in the last 4 minutes of the third quarter, bringing a 5-point lead into the fourth. They continued that momentum, leading by 10 with less than a minute left in the game. You'll see in these clips here, Durham really is just going shot for shot with Seneca the entire night. Now, in that last minute of the fourth quarter, the Lords went on a 13-0 run, seemingly out of nowhere, to steal the win away. John Dial was instrumental in the Lords' success, going massive in the final 60 seconds, draining 2 threes. In the game, he scored 22 points, shooting 8 for 11, including 4 from beyond the arc, alongside 5 assists and 6 rebounds. And then moving into the Friday game against Fleming, Durham exploded for 33 points in the first quarter. You'll see that coming up here. Just shot after shot from beyond the arc. They came out of the gates hot in the first quarter and the second quarter, just relentless from 3-point territory. They kept that momentum going, and they brought a 21-point lead into the second half. Now, I have to say they did slow down in the second half, but they did a fantastic job managing their lead. They only put up 10 points in the third quarter, and they gave up 30 in the fourth, but their really strong first half carried them through. In that second game on Friday, Caleb Carter really stood out. He scored 17 points and shot 5 for 11 from 3-point range. The Lords were able to escape with a W thanks to that impressive first quarter performance. The men's basketball team is going to be playing another 2 games in the next week. They're going to Algonquin to face the Wolves on Friday, and then they're off to play the Coyotes in La Cité on Saturday.
So this men's team, they were hot last year, of course, OCAA champions. So are you looking at that maybe a little shaky going into this one?
You know, I think it's just the start of the season. They're finding their system again, a couple of new pieces, but I saw so much clutch factor and so much team play that I'm not too worried. I think as the season goes, they're going to get that head of steam, they're going to get the ball rolling, and they're going to be dominant again.
Well, they're also down two key players, of course, Javed Marn and Rashane Smith. Those 2 massive contributors last year, and they just haven't been here this year injured.
You're absolutely right. Once this Lords team is healthy, who knows where they're going to get to, right? You could see 30, 40-point wins like we did last season.
Absolutely. This team should be all guns blazing. But we're looking at it. We're just about done here. Next week, we got a whole bunch of games coming up for you guys. So don't forget about us here. Match ready. And don't forget, always make your way back with Durham Lords Match Ready. Myself, Etienne Skitch, beside me, Maddox Delander. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, I'm on the way. On the way.